did you turn your back on the Lord for? Why did you do it? God didn't do nothing to you at all, but you turn your back on him and you know better. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. I sure am. Because you know better and you should not have done it. What did the Lord done to you to turn your back on him? What did he do to you? Did he make you mad? Did he make you upset? Did it make you angry at him? Why did you do it? You better get a whipping. You better get a whipping because you know better. They don't want to tell you to stop coming to church. They don't want to tell you to stop. You're going to get a whipping.
Is that what we doing now? We threatening people with whoopings. We threatening people with whoopings because he gonna come get me, y'all. He gonna come get you too. Turning your back on the Lord. Why did you do it? Well, let me tell you why. Because I actually went and studied the book. Did I do it because I was angry at this God? No. Did I do it because I was mad at this God? No. Did I do it because this God did something to me? Absolutely not. You see, what had happened is that once I studied this book and I studied the archaeology around this book and the language linguistically about this book, I came to realize that this book was not speaking of what could possibly be the creator of the universe or any God that I should worship. That's what had happened. That's why I stopped going to church. Nobody made me stop going to church. I stopped on my own because I realized that it was a waste of my time. You see, a deity that requires me to worship it out of fear, a deity that would require me to worship it out of love, a deity that would require me to worship for any emotional reason whatsoever is not worth me worshiping. A deity that says that if I don't worship it, I am threatened in the same way that you did, but I am threatened to burn eternity in hell. And how can my soul burn in hell when my soul is not supposed to have the corporal body? I don't know. That's an amazing thing in itself. But why would I worship a deity that froth at the mouth when that sweet aroma of murder and death happens? This is not a good God. And so in my research, I realized that this cannot be a good God, but it is actually a very evil God, a narcissistic, egotistical God. So therefore, it requires no worship of mine because this God cannot exist. When I started to understand the culture that was behind the writings of this God and how it was all culturally based, I realized that this was not a God that I should worship. When I started realizing that this God does not understand how science works in the natural universe, this is not a God that I should worship. When I saw that this guy was genocidal, this is not a God that I should worship. This God subjugated women, this is not a God that I should worship. This is a God that endorses slavery, not a God that I would ever worship. So I didn't leave the church because of anger or hurt or somebody did something to me. I left the church because I read the book for myself. I studied the book for myself. I went out and traveled the world and went to the places to which this book is supposed to have been written from and about and understanding the people and the culture. And I walked away from it because this book does not teach anything about a God of the universe, but yet teaches about a God of a people who believed that there was some God manipulating their lives and the lives of everybody else around them, but was only their city state God and not the God of all people. That they accepted the Babylonians had their God and that God existed, that the Persians had a God and that God existed, the Canaanites, the Kemetics, and everybody else had a God and those gods existed. So why would I follow a belief in a people's God and those people were not my people? And even when I found out and discovered where my people came from, I recognized that their gods had the same problem. Hence, I don't worship those guys either. I worship none of those guys. I look inward. In order to see the universe, I had to first look inward to see outward. I had to understand self in order to understand the universe and all creations. Therefore, none of the gods that man has created is worth my worship because it would be a grand waste of my time. So, therefore, if you think you're going to come give me a whooping, you better bring a big damn stick. But always remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non negotiable. Good journey, good vibration.